So this piece here, what are you working on?
So this is going to be an entirely beaded geometric moon. I think one of the things that like worked out really successfully with the piece that's going to be in the auction is that like when you looked at it from, or when you look at it from one side or the other, it kind of like almost looks like you're looking at two different pieces because of the way the color moves. So with this one, I'm trying to be more intentional about doing that from the onset. I also think that there's like a strength in these when I'm working with one color like over a large surface area more than like switching back and forth between colors. With just like little touches of different colors within the one color. Like one thing I'm looking forward to doing with this beadwork is getting to a place where it's like entirely one color. But I'm like slowly easing into that.
Right, because the other work that you have currently integrates quite a few different color palettes. So by fully beaded, do you mean even the center, the circle? So will this be the first fully beaded piece that you've put out or shared with the world? Not that you've done, probably. Yeah.
I think it'll be, so I've had like fully beaded moons and like suns on paintings before. And then last year I did a series of 3 20-inch beadworks. And 2 of them were fully beaded. The third one, the last one, like I had technically started the project in December and like worked on each one for like 3 or 4 months and didn't finish the whole series until September. So it was like a 9 to 10 month project. Yeah. So I ended up using mica on like some of the rings on the third one.
Mica beads. What's the difference?
So mica's like it's Golden makes it. It's an acrylic medium. It's like a metal flake in this like paste, like a kind of like a glue.
So it's not beading at all. It's actually like a paint or a paste. Okay.
Yeah. And it made it so I could wrap it up faster.
Got it.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
I mean, I think that's sometimes a part of the creative process, right? Like the initial vision you have could be one thing, but once you're in the flow of it all, and sometimes it's a happy accident that takes you into, or a mistake that turns into a happy accident, or you're like, you know, I'm over it. This is what we're gonna do.
It's just time to wrap it up.
It's a long process.
It's a very long process.
A labor of love, tedious.
Yes.
Sometimes not love.
Sometimes not love, but it's more so not love, not so much because of the actual like process of beading, but because of like how I'm feeling, like the headspace that I'm in. And so making myself like sit and do this, depending on the headspace I'm in, that's what can be difficult. The process is never like my hands don't hurt, like it like, you know what I mean? If anything, it's like an enjoyable kind of like activity. Which is probably why it's becoming such a big part of my practice is like when I'm in those headspaces, like then I can come to this and like I can use that energy or that headspace like productively, you know what I mean? And that's satisfying.
Yeah, so I like that you brought that up because I was curious, you know, you started as a painter.
Yes.
Yes? Okay, and so a lot of your works to date have been in that space.
Yes, technically, because I was thinking about this last night. Technically, I started as a drawer.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
A draftsman. I've heard someone use that phrase. Listen, I'm learning here, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make sure I'm getting the technical language right. But a drawer.
Yeah.
But then as you've been in this space of like a professional or academic artist, painting, has that been like a core medium for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
And now your beadwork, that the first time I saw your work in person was when I was down at NADA at Miami Art Week. And you have pieces that kind of integrate both of your worlds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, talk to me about when you kind of started integrating the beadwork and like why.
Yeah. Okay. So time machine back to 20. Well, let's go back even a little bit further. I graduated from VCU in 2017, and then I stayed in Richmond until 2020, and that's when the pandemic hit. And so I had the brilliant idea to move home rather than stay in Richmond and like go through like whatever it was we were about to go through there.
Fair.
And at that time, this was like spring 2020, ASA had just gotten the headquarters for the CAN in Newport News. And so I asked if I could have a studio, like if I could, I had visited the space in February, and then I saw that Dathan was working on a mural there in March, and I was like, hey, can I do a mural? So I started working on that mural in March and then decided that I wanted to move home in April, and was able to use the second floor studio space. And so for the first 3 months, like I was working up there and I had the whole space to myself. And that was the first time that I had ever had like, that second floor studio was maybe like 4 or 5 of these studios. And so like the wall that I was working on was like twice this size. And so that was the first time I had like room to spread out my work. And I had this like painting that I was working on, and I had all this canvas. And so I like set up canvas like next to it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make this painting like stretch across these 3 canvases. I'm going to make this idea stretch. Was working in that space, had access to that space for like the next like year and a half. And later on in that year, that studio space became a shared studio space. So other artists were working in it as well. The next year, I still had those 3 canvases up. And I was in like a lull in my practice. And one of the other artists working in the space, Nastasia Swift, she was working on a 40-foot quilt. And the bottom of the quilt was like this entirely beaded fringe. And because I was in a lull, because the paintings that I had on the wall were like not progressing, I asked if I could help her like with that project. And she had me like string some of the fringe on the bottom of the quilt, and just the process of like threading the needle with the bead, like just, it clicked. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so one of the pieces that was on the wall was the green piece that's out there. Yeah. And the moons were open. There wasn't anything in them. And I knew I didn't want to paint them, but I didn't know what to do with them. But then after having like helped with the quilt or with the beaded fringe, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll bead the moons. Do you know what I mean? What
was the time frame between you helping with Nostalgia's piece, it clicking, and then you going back to your piece?
Oh, it was immediate. Immediate? Like, she had a show she was putting up, and like I was like low-key kind of hounding her to like show me how to like stitch into the canvas. Do you know what I mean? Because I was like...
It was something, it was itching. Yeah. It was something for you, yeah. I mean, I feel like just how you describe what it felt like kind of moving through the process, and then the way you were talking about it earlier, sometimes it helps regulate your mood, and sometimes your mood is just like it doesn't have the time for it. But it feels like there's something meditative about it, something calming.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
Do you think, and maybe this will get more into like your philosophy and about like the things that you paint or create in general, do you think there's something to be said about like there being an ancestral kind of like pull to this kind of...
I do think that like we're drawn to places, things, that draw is not haphazard. Yes.
So what about your work? What are usually some of the themes that you find yourself going into? Like, how do you determine the content of the pieces you're working on?
I want to say it's very, it's very much like how I feel in the moment,
Okay.
you know? It's very it's very feeling first. And then I'll take a step, and then sometime in the future, could be brief or could be farther out, why I took the step will make sense. I'll realize oh, this is what I was doing, this is what I was getting at, this is what I was pulling from, this is what was this was what was happening. Yeah. Which brings me to an annoyance about the art world.
Okay, go for it.
This industry that we're in.
Yes.
Very much it feels like to progress within an artist's lifetime, they have to sort of know the whole thing, either before they do it or right after they've done it. And I have such a friction with that because that's just not how things naturally work for me. Just saying that's very annoying.
Yeah, because okay, so wait, let me make sure I'm understanding this right. You approach the things that you create, what you make, intuitively.
Yes.
It's really connected to how you feel, and that can change moment to moment, day to day. You could be working on a piece and say, I don't feel like working on this piece, and go to something else. But as potentially a professional artist, there's strategy that's required that feels inauthentic. Yeah. So what do you say? Do you just say, I don't care, this is how I approach it? Or do you try and find alignment between the two?
Yeah, definitely that middle ground, because this is the profession I want to be in. So there are
Rules.
Yes, unfortunately.
Okay, so let's actually go back. One of my favorite questions to ask people, or artists specifically, is when did you realize you were an artist?
I feel like I can't remember a moment, which makes me want to say that it just was always.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
And it's even beyond awareness, it's just who you are.
Yeah.
Were you that kid that was doodling in the corners of your notebooks?
Thought about this also.
Stay
I feel like I never give my sister credit.
Stay close.
Okay, sorry. But yeah, she'd be at the kitchen table reading, or she'd be at the kitchen table drawing. So I'd be at the kitchen table reading, and I'd be at the kitchen table drawing. That's all it was. Do you know what I mean?
What's the age range between you two?
3 years.
Yeah. And that's big sis.
Yeah.
Okay, so kid doodling in the kitchen, drawing in the kitchen. And what was your track to here? Because now you're consciously making this effort to be a professional artist, to make it your career. Why? How did you know this was the path you wanted to take?
So my sister and I went to a college prep, middle school and high school. So college was always an inevitability. It was never not the thing that we were going to do. And so when it came time to start looking into schools, and then the question became, well, what am I going to major in? I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do this thing that I love to do. And I didn't know anything about anything. I just knew that and I wanted to go to school. It wasn't that I didn't want to go to school, but it was if I had to go to school, if I had to keep going, doing this thing, I was going to do something I wanted to do. And I was making a lot of drawings in high school, but I realized that a lot of art schools don't really have a drawing major. They have a painting major. So that's when I started painting. And I started painting with water soluble oils. And then when I got to undergrad, I got to VCU, I still was working with water soluble oils, but then I started working with regular oils also. A professor gave me a stack of unstretched canvas, and it just was really easy to just put that up, gesso it, and to just kind of work. And then I graduated, and Richmond's a very artsy community. So there was a lot of like, there was a lot of things I could do to keep going, to keep the momentum going. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and like you said, like you're guided by your intuition with this, right? And it sounds like if it feels good, you keep going. And not just that, because I'm sure there's moments where grit is required, where you push through when you don't really quite feel like it. Even the way that you approach your days, I'm sure there's some like routine and regimen in there. But it makes sense that this is kind of like, I know I love this. And now that there was always a viewpoint that this could be a pathway that you could make your career, it makes sense that this is, the path that you've stayed on.
Yeah.
What did I say?
No, I was just like, we have a limited amount of time. Like,
Yeah.
we might as well do the things that like we want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm also very stubborn. I'm also like, it's just like, what else am I gonna do? You know what I mean?
There's nothing else that makes me feel like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this your first residency, or have you done other residencies? It is.
No, so my first was Vermont Studio in 2019.
Okay.
And then after that was in Vermont. And then a friend who I met in that residency, her grandparents had a cabin which she turned into a residency space.
Dope.
And then I went to Baltimore and sort of started my own residency. But before Baltimore, I was at the Can, so I did the first patron residency. And then a few months ago, I did 1708's pilot residency. But I feel like this is my first, like, generously supported residency.
Well, how have you used them in the past? Has it just been a reason and a moment to go away from your home base to see how art is cultivated for yourself there? Okay.
I think Vermont was like much more felt like, and I kind of had no expectations. There was no stipend. They only covered like half the cost of the residency, so I had to pay for the other half. I worked in like the kitchen, but it was housing, it was studio space. That felt much more like it was like art camp. Do you know what I mean? For like art adult artists.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little bit more leisurely.
Yeah. But we're maybe much more about like the connections between the artists.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the Can, that felt like what my career is going to be like. Do you know what I mean? Like that felt
Say more.
like what having a studio space is going to be like when I'm not dependent on an organization like McCall or something to provide me with studio space. Like that felt like, oh, this is what like a sustainable art practice looks like. This is how that could actually like genuinely work, you know?
Is it because it's a consistent space for you to have access to, and there's a consistent community as well, and it's home base?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So while you're here, then, what is it that you've been interested in exploring in your work and during like the residency in general?
This residency has felt like a chance to complete things. Also to be, a chance to save.
Fair, right.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, so a lot of people outside of the art world don't quite know what residencies are, didn't know they existed, or like the importance and the why of them, right? And even for myself, before I became acquainted with McCall Center, I didn't quite realize the benefit and the necessity. It is a moment of respite, maybe, but not really, because, while you're not having to pound the pavement, trying to figure out, the business side of your practice, and you're able to just kind of create and do. But it is a moment to give you a little bit of space and breathing room, because like there's so many sides that you must sit, so many places you have to kind of like play in as an artist, because it's self-produced, it's self-orchestrated in a lot of ways, and so you are the product, you are the admin, you are the business manager. So there's so many hats that you kind of have to wear in this role that like residencies offer a space of like support for you.
Yeah. Good ones like this one.
Yeah, okay.
Generous ones like this one.
Yeah.
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 So, okay, so back to the path, the journey that's been Mahari's. So, you know, you were the kid doodling in school. It was, this art world was always an option and a cultivating space for you. You continue into your undergrad. Was it a fine art degree? Then into residencies, and then last year you were showing down at Miami Art Week.
Yeah.
How was that? Was that with gallery representation? Like, how did you kind of land in that space?
So Southside Contemporary Art Gallery is run by Rosetta Raytwan Fields in Richmond. And we met probably my freshman or sophomore year.
Okay.
And had a awareness of each other since then, but didn't work together until the NADA show, and because I was in residence with 1708, I invited him to do a studio visit, and yeah, when he came over for the studio visit, he was like, "Actually, I have this opportunity. Would you be interested?" And I had those like 3 larger beadworks with me. And he asked if I could make a series similar to that for the show. And yeah, I had like 6 weeks.
6 weeks
6 weeks.
for beaded work? And you told me like some of these pieces take you like 2 to 3 months, 4 months. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So they were smaller and the center was painted, and I felt like at least the last one for sure was rushed. The first one that I made is the one that's in the McCall auction. I like extended the beadwork so it feels better. But yeah, just like circling back to somebody that I had met who was like, "Oh, I just happen to have this thing." Yeah.
I mean, it's great that you have this beautiful community of connections, because I know you're not making it sound. It sounds, you know, like happenstance, but in a lot of ways, this is also like it's just in alignment for yourself, right? Like, it's like you're following intuition, you are creating community, and in all of that, the universe is conspiring for you, right?
Yeah.
Do you believe in that kind of frame of thought?
Definitely. Yes. I think also maybe like a part of that like maybe isn't like talked about as much as like the little nudges or like the little suggestions from the universe. Like
You listen.
yeah. Like I had to hit up Rosetta and be like, "Hey, will you come over?" Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could have not listened.
Right.
And then I could have not been in that of Miami.
How was that for you?
It was good. It was good. I mean, it was awesome. It was really good.
Say more.
I wish that I had, well, I look forward.
There you go.
To having like the time to really like present work that I'm like fully excited about. Yeah.
But sometimes it's just about getting your foot in that door, right? Like, you've had your initial experience, you explored, you created visibility for yourself amongst the audience that you may not have heard or known, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And now the next time you come back with the next piece, they're like, "Oh, I remember this artist," you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I made my resume look way better.
Yeah.
This is very important.
Yes.
It's very important.
Yeah, it is. I mean, going back to like the business side of it, like the game that you kind of have to play, it's a little bit of both. Yeah. Okay, talking about work that excites you then.
Yes.
Let's talk about some pieces you're excited about, either what you are working on now or what you have worked on and shown.
Making like entirely beaded pieces really excites me because I think it's like it's a challenge. I want to scale these up, I think that's like the most immediate work that I'm excited about. I'm still making paintings because paintings come out quickly and they're fun to make and I make them well. I am looking forward to like the way that I paint changing because I feel like I have been very like sort of tight with my painting.
What do you mean?
Like
Do you mean within like frame? Like you kind of stay compact in your work and you want it to be more expansive? Okay.
like I guess literally the way that I paint feels very like tight.
Okay.
Like I'm trying to like get it to do this like thing.
Okay.
Which maybe like I do, like I also like do that with the beadwork, but it, I don't know, feels different. But with the painting, like I want things to flow more, you know? Yeah.
So you've got a couple pieces in the room right now. Are you working on a particular series or what are the concepts of these pieces?
Yeah, so this piece right here, I'm thinking of as Azalea, as a portrait of Azalea. She's like a water deity, a water spirit. And I feel like that flow that I was getting at is definitely happening in this kind of like etheric, kind of atmospheric situation happening around her. I want to make, while I'm here, I want to make like a pair to this painting, another canvas that's exactly the same size. And I don't know, maybe it'll be her like in the same position, but just like, you know, flipped. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe it'll be another, like a different kind of figure, because there are multiple aspects of her. Like, she comes in many different forms. So that's one thing that I am working on that I would like to finish this year, and I see no reason why I can't. Yeah.
How long does it usually how long have you been working on this piece?
So I painted it and I didn't know what I was painting, and it was just like a kind of like fiery scene, like with like a teardrop shape that was open in the middle. And I did that like sometime last year. And then, so I had the center open and I had the surrounding part painted. And then I started working on this kind of like flame situation, I think in like January. And then here, the figure, like I didn't really know what I was painting, but the figure came through here. It's based off of a portrait of Alex Isley. She dropped a new album, I think like this year or last year. So the album cover, it's like, is who the figure is based off of.
But you said this is the face, or like the concept is around a deity, right? So when did you realize what you wanted it to be?
Once she came through, like once I was like, oh, this portrait of Alex Isley would be perfect in the center of this painting. And then I started painting it, and I was like, oh, okay, this is Azalea. Like,
And I'm not familiar with Azalea. Can you tell me who she is?
So she's like Oshun or Makeia. She's like, but her origin is Haiti. And she is said to have been at the site that the people were at when they decided to revolt. So she's said to have to be the spirit that started the Haitian Revolution. Yeah.
That's interesting, because now that I know this and now that you're saying that, I find it interesting that the colors kind of represent like this calm side and like this fiery element of the piece. Because in a way, it feels like there's a connection, like a soothing to her people, but then also like less revolt.
Yes.
Yeah. That's dope.
Fire, rage, burn it all down.
Right. Yeah. All the elements combined.
Yes. Yeah.
See, I feel like there's a few other paintings that have African deities and relate kind of, and that's what made me ask you about the beading element, right? Like there's an element of history and spirituality that is in your work. Is this connected to like your own path and your journey, or are these just, not characters, but like concepts and people that you find interesting? Like, what is the connection to you?
They are characters that I find very interesting. I usually like, so my dad was like super kind of like dogmatic about his faith growing up. And it didn't leave a lot of room for fierceness, for womanness, for like any of that. And so I think that like when I got to be around college age for sure, like, and I started to realize that there's like, all up like a pantheon, a plethora of spiritual practices and like customs and like characters and archetypes and wisdoms. I was like, oh, this resonates and this resonates and this resonates. And I think that like my creative practice is also a way for me to like mark for myself what I found that resonates. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely see a lot of like elements of peace and calm, but then also woman power centric kind of elements in your work. And in a way, I feel like artists sometimes, or a lot of times, are creating things for themselves, right? But then also putting things out there that they want other people to consider or to acknowledge or reflect or see within themselves too. Actually, I think I was just kind of scrolling through, trying to get acquainted with some things, and I saw something that you posted, and it felt like illuminating for myself. And it's more about writing though, and it was connected to, it was like a little clip, and it was
I just unarchived that. Yes,
and I was like, oh, this is real. Like essentially, the more that you write, the more that you reveal about yourself, and the better you can understand and know yourself.
Yes.
Do you feel like you do that with your painting and your artwork as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Is it funny that I said that because you just looked at?
Yeah.
No, it really resonated because I think, just in like thinking about the artist journey and the practice, right? Like, and it's funny, I say practice a lot, but I'm recognizing that it really is that. It becomes like this consistent motion that allows you to become acquainted with whatever the topic is that you want.
Yes, and acquainted with yourself.
Absolutely, exactly, absolutely. And then in that, because it is something that is shared, that you put out there, that now you're at a space like McCall Center that requires you to engage with the people engaging with your work, you're probably seeing that moment of your experience then helping them to become more acquainted with themselves, to question and interrogate things that they see about themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, did I put words in your mouth?
No,
is that what
that's
you
beautiful.
want? Okay.
That's beautiful.
It's in your words though. Go ahead.
I would say that second part about like what the work is doing for people that are engaging with it, I don't think about right now. I mean, not really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, yeah.
You do it for you.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely want people to view the work, to appreciate it, like, for sure. But like, I guess being really intentional about the impact that it's having on other people, like I haven't really set that. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's sort of like enough, you know what I mean? There's sort of almost enough for me to do already, like with it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's another responsibility.
Yes. I know my intentions are good.
Yes.
If it works for me, it's probably gonna work for somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. So is there something that you're excited about while you're here? I mean, Charlotte, exploring, is it pulling into what you're working on right now? Are you letting McCall Center influence what you're working on right now? What's going on?
I am excited about the support that I have received from the McCall Center and like what that's gonna allow me to do once I leave here. Yeah, the cushion that's gonna allow for that's what I think I'm most excited about.
What do you want to see when you leave here for yourself? What do you want to do?
Get an apartment.
Oh, so away from the parents' place.
Yes.
Enough of the pandemic, quarantined, and you're ready to spread your wings.
Yeah, like I'm 31 and I've lived a few places.
Yeah.
And I've lived with a few people,
Mm-hmm.
but I've not ever like had an apartment to myself, for myself, that I can like,
Just be.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's something about being really comfortable with being solo.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've done some things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I tried some other ways, and it's temporary, but it'll be really nice. It'll be really nice.
Yeah. I'm going to take us back a little bit to your beadwork, and more so because we were talking yesterday and talking about, and you kind of touched on this a little bit before too, but talking about how you are looking to shift your style of color work. You start with painting your canvases first, right? And then you move into the beading and the added elements. What is it that you're looking to kind of accomplish with this like new approach of being more singular with the color palette?
I think like a concentrated energy. Like colors hold energy, and I think that like when I disperse like the color when I'm making beadworks among like multiple colors, it just doesn't. It almost like fractures what the work is doing. And I think that if I work in one color field, like I can use the color that I'm working with, it'll have more oomph. Yeah.
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 So in a way, it's also kind of taking a similar approach to how you're working with your paintings as well.
Yeah. I've tried this with the paintings. I think I've gotten close, but I've not quite done it because it's like restricting myself, which is kind of difficult.
Have you explored some of the other studios here? So like, are you thinking about printmaking or, I mean, even Nastasha will be here soon. She got you into the beading. Are you looking at more textiles or do you?
I would love to learn how to weave.
Okay. You have to get Kimberly to pull you in.
But I also can be very like obsessive about things because I want to be very good at them. So I've been beading for like 5 years, but I don't feel like I just started, but I kind of am like, I talk about it like it's a new thing. So if I pick up something else, like I'm gonna want to do it for a very, very long time and be very, very good at it. So while I'm here, I'd like to make a series of prints. I will be stretching some work with Renee, but I probably won't like
Stray too far. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, but also this is something that's very time consuming as well. And like you said, you've got quite a few pieces that you're trying to complete. So you can't probably stretch yourself too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot, you mentioned earlier that you are going to grad school?
I'm going to grad school.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
does that start in the fall?
In the fall.
Where are you going?
Cranbrook.
Why there? Like, what was it about Cranbrook for you?
They offered me support.
There you go. And then what would it be a focus? Do you have to concentrate in like painting or, so will that be the focus?
We have to pick one, but it's very interdisciplinary.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be in the painting department, but I'm gonna be making beadworks. I'm gonna be making beadworks.
So this is for your MFA?
Yes.
Did you feel like that was necessary? Like what made you want to take the MFA path?
I always wanted to do it ever since undergrad. I didn't feel a pressure to do it or a pressure to do it until the last couple of years.
Pressure, what do you mean? Why?
Because I just wanted.
Yeah.
I
Oh, it's
want
like
it.
a personal pressure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want it.
Yeah.
And it's very helpful.
Yeah, for sure. The creds.
Yeah, but the minute that I wanted it, it was like, oh, I want it now.
Yeah.
Like I applied last year, I didn't get into the 2 schools I applied to last year. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah.
So, but here you are.
Here
And
we
I think in divine timing. Because you wouldn't have been able to be here.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.